reports around the country of hordes of depraved psychopaths randomly attacking people in the streets. It appears to be caused by some sort of virus that is spread by bites. The authorities are warning that it is likely the apocalypse, as in the end of days. And people should stay in their homes, or don't. Apocalypse? It really doesn't matter, because help isn't coming anyways. If you have been bitten, you can pretty much kiss your butt goodbye, unless you have the balls to amputate one of your own limbs. Have fun with that. Emergency Services recommends that you have an unlimited supply of food and water and ride this one out. Because like we said, help isn't coming anyways. The military and the police are busy bugging out to save their own asses.
I can't believe this.
You do the same. Here's Todd with the
I've been demonetized? Son of a... What the hell? Hello? Water? Damn it. So this is turning out to be a real crapshoot of a day. Had a demonetized video, the apocalypse happened, and now I can't even get a drink of water because I'm assuming those stupid zombies must have ate the power plant guys and they weren't able to get power to the water pumps to pump the water. So what am I gonna do now? Where can I find water? Yeah, no, I don't think so. At least not yet. There's gotta be a better way. Hey! That could possibly work. Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today we're going to talk about how you can get an unlimited supply of clean drinking water from the air as long as you have a renewable energy source. Let's get to it. Alright, so what I'm about to share today isn't anything new by any stretch of the means. People have been doing this for some time now, and there's actually companies who design machines that are specifically for the purpose of extracting water from the air in as efficient a manner as possible. Now, what I have here is a dehumidifier. A dehumidifier is hardly new technology. It's been around for decades, if not over a century now. And basically, it works a lot like a fridge. There's a refrigerant which is passed through a bunch of coils, and that cools those coils, and condensation forms outside the coils, and basically that condensation collects and collects, and what it's doing is it's extracting water from the air. So you can do this anywhere on Earth. So we had a stretch of very humid weather here, very high humidex rating. The heat was around 30 degrees, but the humidex made it feel more like 38 to 40. So there was a lot of humidity in the air. So it got me thinking about using a dehumidifier to get water. Now this is a dehumidifier that I use in the warehouse at CanadianPreparedness.com. I'm not even really sure of the brand name, to be honest. The brand doesn't really matter. What matters most is that you have an energy source to power it. Now this one, I believe it takes around 400 watts, because when I turn on the iNergy Apex lithium generator, it'll start kicking in right away here. Right now it says we're pulling about 79 watts. But that will go up to around 400 watts when the machine actually kicks in. It's enough that if I had this thing plugged into the solar panels outside right now, I could be constantly replenishing it and extracting water from the air. And it actually extracts it at a surprisingly fast rate. In a few hours, this thing is full of water. How much water you're going to get for the energy invested really depends on how much humidity is in the air. If you're in the desert, it's going to take a bit longer, of course, than if you're in a climate like mine, where there's a very high water table and it's kind of swampy and buggy wetlands. So it really depends on where you live. But a system like this, the iNergy Apex, with the 400 watts, or actually it's a 500 watt input, you're getting enough to constantly be replenishing your power source. Now, Ecola Blue, which is the company who makes probably the most popular dehumidifying water system, they claim to have a technology which is far more efficient than a dehumidifier, because a dehumidifier, it's meant to take water out of the air, but as far as I know, it's not meant to collect lots of water. That's not its purpose. It's actually meant to take as much humidity out of the air whilst minimizing the amount of water that's collected. This is to cut down on the amount of times that you have to dump out the water that's contained in the reservoir there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the Apex on. I'm going to let it run for a couple hours. We're going to suck a bit of moisture out of the air, and then we're going to put some in our water filter bottle. This is an AquaMera water filter bottle, and it comes with a carbon filter, but it also has interchangeable bacterial and virus filters. And we're going to drink some of that water, and we're going to see how it tastes. Now, I still would recommend filtering the water. Obviously, you don't know, there could be airborne stuff that you don't want to be drinking. There could be toxins in the air. But generally speaking, when you look at the water that goes into a dehumidifier, it looks crystal clear. Carbon filter should take out any chemicals and toxins, not any, but most of. And using the virus filter will take out any bacterial or virus threats. Now let's just make sure that this thing is doing what it's supposed to. Right now we are only discharging at 70 watts, but that will eventually step up to about 400 watts. So I've done numerous videos on water storage before. Ideally, you want to have a lot of water on hand. It's going to minimize the amount of work you have to do. Going in fetching water could potentially be dangerous, and it's just going to be very time consuming, and it's going to take a lot of calories in order to do so. So I've talked about the water full barrel system. I've talked about the 55-gallon drums, of which I keep 4 of those stocked up. Even though I live in a place where water is very abundant, you still want to have that water on hand. It's much easier than having to venture out after something were to happen to go and try to find water, and then of course having to purify that water could be a bit more of a task if you don't have the proper filtration methods. So having your own water supply on hand, maybe you're just using some pool shock, some bleach to purify it, that's probably the easiest way to ensure that you have a ample supply of drinking water if the crap hits the fan. So now it's stepped up to 400 watts. That's not a problem with the Apex. The Apex has a 3000 watt peak output, although it can only do that for a second. That's just to give those high power starting devices a boost, and it will run 1500 watts continuous. But I say that tongue-in-cheek, of course, because it can only do that for a couple minutes. But you would not want to run a generator like this that only has an 1100 watt hour storage at 1500 watts, because you're only ever going to get maximum maybe a half an hour of runtime, and that's going to burn your battery out much faster than this thing can recharge. But it can recharge the fastest on the market, between 2 to 3 hours to fully recharge the battery from dead. So for such a large amount of power in a relatively lightweight system, which is around 25 pounds, the lightest there is on the market, it's a great system. One of the best preps I own personally. So if you want to get one of these, I'll post a link in the description. You can get 10% off. The pre-sale's done with, but the best price you're going to get is through the link below. And this is just one more potential use for this device. Now, not everybody wants to splurge $1,500 on an Ecola Blue machine. So picking up a used or new dehumidifier for between $100 to $300 could be not only a good investment, year-round. There's many practical things that you could use it for, but in an emergency situation, it is a way to get water if you have an unlimited power supply via solar. And you would be amazed at how fast one of these machines could fetch water for you. You could foreseeably keep yourself alive. I would say one person, 2 liters of water a day will be no problem with a smaller device like this. You can get larger devices. Even Ecola Blue sells machines that are for the purpose of providing whole communities with power, but those of course are in the several tens of thousands of dollars. You can also use a dehumidifier outside. I know the Ecola Blue people say that you can only use their device in rooms which are well ventilated, because you're going to want that constant influx of moist air coming in to feed the machine. If you just put this in a small room or a closet and you turn it on, it's going to extract all the moisture that it can out of the air, and then it's not going to be producing anymore. So something to consider. Now, in terms of operational security, it's not a very loud machine. I'm sure you can get machines which are much louder than this. It has a soft background fan-like hum to it. So I don't think you could hear it unless you were in the same room. It's a sound which is going to blend in to the sound of the wind outside, but it's kind of a one-way sound, so people probably wouldn't hear it unless they were in the same room as it. But if you were in the same room as this machine, you may not be able to hear everything that's going on outside. You would want this away far enough that it wasn't compromising your own hearing. In terms of other practical uses for something like this, obviously preventing things like mold and mildew buildup. If you are storing food or just stuff, supplies, and you want it to last a bit longer, taking some of that moisture out of the air quite regularly will help extend the longevity of those items a little bit. And it's also a good way to manage the temperature of the room that you're in. We've been going for around 15 minutes, and let's see what, if anything, that we've got out of here. You can definitely hear there's water in there already. I don't know how much there's going to be. Let's see. It's literally only been on for 15 minutes, and I already got a cup of water. Does it look like the best tasting water on earth? Of course not. But if you were thirsty and you needed water, you would absolutely drink this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer, and then we're going to check it out in an hour or so. I'm going to turn this back on. We'll be back in a bit. It's a bit of a cardboardy taste to it, but that could just be the bottle too. The bottle's new, so this isn't the one I've used on the trip that I took. You know what? In a survival situation, I could definitely mess with this. Absolutely. Drinking water that came from the air. Tastes kind of like a dusty room, but it tastes good. Like, it's not a taste that I think you would get sick of, and it's not a taste that you would dread. Over time, when you're drinking water from a less than desirable source, the tendency is at first when you're thirsty, you drink it and you deal with it, you cope with it, but eventually you start to dread drinking it. I don't think that would be the case with this stuff, especially seeing as you could double or triple filter it, you could treat it. Once you overcome the idea that you're drinking water that's been extracted from the air, it's not that bad. It would keep you alive. So if you have a unlimited power source like the Energy Apex and you have a solar system, you may want to consider putting a dehumidifier in your preps, or just going for the Ecolo Blue machine. That might be the better option. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you want the AquaMera bottle, we do sell these, CanadianPreparedness.com. There's also alternate filters. You get the activated carbon filter with it, but you can also get the virus filter and the bacteria filter if you want. The virus filter filters out everything and also reduces significantly a lot of the chemicals and pesticides, herbicides, all that stuff. Bacteria will do the same, but it won't filter out viruses, but you get a much longer capacity. We sell those in two sizes, the large size and the more easily packable small size. Personally, I would prefer the small size just because it's easier to pack, and at any given time you really only need that much water if it's for drinking purposes. So yeah, check it out. Canadian Prepper out. The best way to support this YouTube channel is to support yourself by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com or bugoutroll.ca. Premium quality gear at the best possible price using the incredibly secure and easy to use Shopify platform. We offer free shipping to the United States for orders over $200 USD and free shipping to Canada over $75. So support the channel by supporting yourself.